Speaking of being rebellious, when you hear someone like Joe Biden, it doesn't have to be Joe Biden either. This could be anyone who made a statement. When he told Charlemagne, like, if you're having trouble choosing between me and Donald Trump, then you ain't black.
Right.
Now, I imagine that actual statement comes up in various ways. Even in the black community, you said you moved from west side of Chicago to the suburbs, and that can even be if you go back to the west side. Then all of a sudden, well, now you don't live here, so you ain't black. Or you can there are different contexts for a statement like this. Statement's the wrong word. Even it seems.
So I would make a distinction for when black people use that. First, I don't think that's something that black people do to each other a lot. Hold it like you ain't black, right?
I definitely saw it growing up.
No, it's definitely a reality. It's definitely a reality. But here's what I think black people in general tend to mean by that. Usually when black people say something like you ain't black, there's usually a sense of you must think you ain't black. You must think that because you live with the white people over there, or because you come from money, or because you don't live on the streets, you must have forgot that you black. You must think that because
because you left the neighborhood.
Just because you left the neighborhood, right? And sometimes that's directed at a real thing. Yes. So uppityness is also a thing in black communities, right? It is possible to be a black person and think you better than other black people because maybe you grew up in the suburbs, or maybe you date somebody outside your race, or maybe you have more money, whatever, and now you think you're better. And if you go around black people talking to black people as if you are, some higher level of blackness, black people will quickly remind you of your blackness. And usually that kind of statement is kind of like, it's getting at that. It's a very nuanced thing. What Joe said was not nuanced at all. I just think it was completely stupid, silly, ignorant, and uninformed. But I think it was telling. I think the reason he felt comfortable saying something that is so obviously stupid and obviously false. And by the way, like, it's very important to me that I don't find a more charitable term than stupid. It's very important to me that even though I'm capable of using about 10 words instead of that I choose to use that one because it's absolutely stupid. If you say, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black, the best word to describe what you said is stupid, right? And it's insulting and it's offensive, and it should be offensive to everybody. But the reason I think he was comfortable saying that is because it's an indicator of taking black people for granted. It's a way of saying, we got y'all. It's a way of saying, I can be overconfident because I know that you guys always vote Democrat. I can predict how you guys are going to vote. And I know that you guys have already bought into the narrative that Trump is racist, right? So as long as I'm not Trump, I can do whatever I want to do. I can say whatever what I want to say, and I don't have to worry about you and any of your concerns and being intelligent enough to speak to your concerns intelligently. I can just say, hey, I'm not Trump, so I already got you. That's the way you talk to people when you're not afraid to lose people. And I think it was a great wake-up call.
It's like saying take it or leave it in a way, in a weird way. And it seems incredibly cavalier. I agree that it's stupid, but it's almost like beyond stupid in a way where you have to realize that if you think this election is as consequential as you're claiming that it is, that you would want the support of a group that you feel has been disenfranchised by this administration. And if that's what you're claiming, then I don't know, man. It's weird that what we take for granted. And by the way, I think we all do this to a great extent unless we make a concerted effort. The Stoics often talk about negative visualization. Yeah. And that's one thing I often, after we talked to William Irvine on the podcast, he's a Stoic philosopher at Wright State, and the one thing he taught me out of that is the negative visualization exercise. Yeah. With Bex, I often just say, hey, thanks for existing. Because like the opposite of her existing is her being dead. And me thinking about her being dead right now makes me really grateful that she exists. And the opposite of what Joe Biden could have done there is saying, hey, I want to thank the black community for existing, and I want to show you that my agenda happens to be the better agenda. I actually have a black agenda, as opposed to his black agenda seems to be that he was a vice president for the first black president.
Right.
Like that's not an agenda.
Yeah. And for anybody who thinks, well, maybe that's a little harsh to call it stupid, I think we can make a distinction between stupid people and stupid statements, right? We don't have to believe that people are stupid. I believe that people, including Joe Biden, are capable of learning from their mistakes. I think he may have done a lot of damage that may be very difficult for him to come back from as far as the election is concerned. We'll see. But I think anybody can learn from that for sure. But I think a part of learning is being real about what we need to learn. And if we treat stupid things as if they are at the same level of sophisticated things, how will we ever value the importance of doing it the sophisticated way, right? Like we can't motivate people to learn to do things the right way if we pretend like there's no difference between right and wrong. It was a stupid thing to say.